All right, and we're live. Just me in here now, but good morning, afternoon, or evening to anyone who came in and is going to rewatch this later. I hope you guys all take away something from this if you are rewatching it, something useful or beneficial, or maybe you said, oh, didn't know about this or didn't know this existed. And then again, if you're rewatching this, we do run these every Thursday. We're gonna plan on doing more frequently. Az, good morning or afternoon. Hello, how are you? Thanks for joining. We want to do these. Oh, yes, we did move away from Facebook. Oh, I see you're on YouTube. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, we're using this a new streaming service. So basically, we can now live stream these kind of on a couple different platforms. I think we're gonna test even more in the future, but right now we find, or we at least think, that YouTube and Facebook are kind of primarily the two main sources that most people have access to and know how to utilize well. Mr. Wright, good day to you as well. Wherever you guys are joining in from, I hope it's a nice and peaceful day for you all. Adrian, oh, of course. I think just your username changed, Adrian, but of course, how could I not? How could I not forget? I'm assuming you have better news for me this time, Adrian? Are we still working on the same thing? But yeah, I see a couple others are joining in now. If you guys are new, I just want to take a step back. My name is Charlie. I'm from the Access Now onboarding team, but I do, your guys' first couple months with you while you're on the platform. You mostly see me in Twist. I guess you see me on here now a lot too. Tickets occasionally. Sometimes I email you guys about some random one-offs. But yeah, just to touch on this again, I think we really want to be pushing these live streams forward more. If you guys are okay with it, if you guys like this, if you find it beneficial, then we're basically gonna do whatever works best for you all. Armstrong, yes, exactly. First off, welcome. He asked, can we make inquiries from here? Yes, you can. This is exactly the time you can ask questions about your current setup. You can say, hey, X, Y, and Z metrics don't look right. Do I have this set up? Or you can just ask general questions about features, or you can just ask general questions about Azoik or about me or whatever you want. I really just want to leave this time open for you all to basically ask whatever you want. Whatever works best for you all. Again, I'm kind of sound like a broken record here, but I'm kind of just killing time to allow more to join on because we're still in the first couple minutes. But Armstrong, you also said, I don't know how to reach any of you guys. So have you been in our Twitch channels yet? If you have, I'm hoping you have, because that's where we posted the link to this live stream. So those Twitch channels are exactly is actually our primary avenue support. So you'll see my name in there, and Imogen and Jan, Harry, Tucker, and Ethan. We're all part of the Zoic Access Now team. I'm currently in the office in Carlsbad. So yeah, that's where you guys will reach us for the most part. We just think it's a little bit easier to talk in like an open-ended Discord like that than it is to kind of do email, snail mail back and forth. Donley, hello. Happy to see you all as well. What's up? Currently just kind of rubbing the dust off my eyes. It's 9:05. I got my first cup of coffee. I hope all is well with you as well. Armstrong says, I have a major challenge I still haven't resolved. So hopefully we can tackle this. If it does kind of require an extensive deep dive into a bunch of metrics in your setup, Armstrong, we can kind of touch on the basics here, and I can kind of give you my insight or my 2 cents of how I'd probably start to troubleshoot this. But yeah, let's take a crack at it. Armstrong, feel free to post your issue down in the comment section. You can include your domain name if you would like. And if you do, then I can kind of go into admin and actually maybe see something specific to your setup. But if not, I can kind of do my best to interpret from the outside without seeing your exact setup. Oh, AZ says still the same issues, but did some improvements in researching, but still nothing changed. If I can ask about the redirecting the problem to your lead. AZ, sorry, can you remind me your domain name? I think your username changed, so I don't recognize it. I'm sorry. I know we were working on a redirect loop with a publisher or two in Twist yesterday. But yeah, if you could give me just a touch a bit more information about your redirect loop, and then Armstrong as well. Feel free to comment whatever your major issue was down in the comment section. Oh, Mom Van Up. I've never seen on a Zoic Live. So I've actually been to your YouTube channel before. We're actually a huge fan. I loved it. I think one of my favorite things about it was, I could tell you're really eager to be, a publisher, and you're really driven, and I love that. I know I saw that specifically when you got the certifications, when you passed the coursework originally, which made my day. That was beautiful. But I think that also kind of posed an issue for us on our end, because we were seeing that someone that's like smart and well inclined with her things is like kind of struggling to do the coursework, so we were kind of creating our own barrier, so we've kind of minimized that and all. But oh, Adrian with the climbing site. Okay. There's quite a few comments in here, so I might not have as much time to go into deep dive stuff, but let me pull yours up really quick. So to fill everyone else in, Adrian has a really cool rock climbing site, but I think he was getting hit with a redirect error that I'm not seeing. But we were also working on the ad manager issue. Do you want me to talk about? I don't see a redirect issue, Adrian. If you want to talk about the ad manager thing, I can kind of touch on that. That way, the rest of the users can kind of maybe see the issues that others have had, and it's kind of a reoccurring issue, unfortunately, and I think it's something that we've been pushing Google really, really hard on to kind of change the way this process works, but things work kind of slow on their end. I think that's the major difference between a company like Azoik and Google is, we're still on the smaller side, so we can basically make any changes that you guys wish, and we can kind of operate on our own terms. Donley, he goes, number of visitors is also decreasing. So Donley, one thing I would like to check, if I were you and I was seeing that my traffic was decreasing, I would probably go to my my Search Console and make sure there are just no errors there, because if you are seeing errors in Search Console and you are primarily getting like organic Google traffic, that will make direct sense as to why you're not seeing as much traffic. But I think there's also some other factors we want to consider here. Let's say you are writing, for example, let's say your niche is like fruit or gardening, and let's say you have a really good article about growing and picking cherries and producing cherries. So right now in California, it's actually cherry picking season, but let's say a couple months down the road you're seeing less traffic. I think it's important to consider the seasonality of your niche and maybe your articles. So Donnie, I think this is something we can look into a bit more in Twist, but I think there's some more background information that I might need to look at. I'm going to need to look at your content. Sometimes it's even the region of your users. Sometimes it's if it's just a weekend, like sometimes your site gets less traffic on the weekend. That'll kind of be something that becomes a theme and more popular. But again, feel free to post that down into Twist or down below, and we can kind of touch up on that again. Mom Van Up, she says, I added a sidebar in my theme. Do I need to manually put in placeholders? Sorry, I keep wanting to call you Mom because it's just Mom Van Up. I don't know if I should call you Van Up. That's better, but I'll stick with Van Up for now. So Van Up, so if you added a sidebar to your pages, there's a couple things. So if you have content in there in the sidebar, let's say it's like a related article section or similar post section, and you have the WordPress plugin enabled and you have the placeholders added, those WordPress plugin placeholders should automatically do like a top of sidebar, middle sidebar, and a bottom floating sidebar. So that way when you pass the sidebar section, the bottom ad will float with your page. So if you're using plugin placeholders, to reiterate, it will populate to your sidebar theme. And if not, we can easily add one through the Chrome extension. It'll take less than 2 minutes, and that way I can just ensure you have at least 3 sidebar placeholders. Remember, that does not always mean that 3 sidebar ads will show. Those are just potential ad locations. Ali, hello, great to see you again. I'm happy you joined me. Ali, everyone, he has a very cool coffee site. I don't know if I want to verbally share it in case he doesn't want me to, but he's been coming here, and I'm happy he's coming back. VGossips.top, he says, hi, happy you're here. I'm happy I'm here as well. It's another new great day. I'm happy you guys are here. He says, help, please. So, VGossips, can you please tell me what the issue is, and then we can kind of go from there? Okay, here's Armstrong. Armstrong was saying he has a major issue from before. So he says, I shifted my hosting to Azoik. I chose blank site. I tried to upload my old site back up with all-in-one WordPress. I've not been able to restore from my old site. A couple things, Armstrong. I don't know if that's the plugin specifically. There is, I'm assuming you've seen our kind of migrate to our Zoic WordPress hosting. But there's an all-in-one backup plugin that you can use, which it sounds like you are, or there's also an Updraft Plus. 2 things you should consider. One, that they all were backed up correctly, and where your migrating process stopped will kind of help us know exactly where the issue could be. Secondly, if your site is really big, sometimes there's not enough bandwidth on one backup plugin alone. So sometimes it's actually best to run 2. But Armstrong, again, this is something that I might need to dig a little bit deeper into. But something that I commonly see without seeing your dashboard right now, something I see a lot is the migrating, the third step of it. It's like the migrating your files. And sometimes the files at your host are actually secured. So every time we make a request to your host to actually draw the files, then they actually get blocked. So sometimes it won't give you an error message. That third step of, God, I forget what the name is, migrating host files or migrating files, that will kind of just continuously load for a couple of hours. And if it's doing that for more than 2 hours, I would say, I think that's too long. So yeah, that's a time you can just reach out to us, and we can either confirm or deny if that is actually the case, or if sometimes it's something on our end. Sometimes we need to designate more pods, we say, which are kind of just like, gigabytes in bandwidth. Sometimes we just need more pods for your domain, depending on the size of it. Van Up, I'm just gonna say Mom Van Up. I like that more. I'm sorry. I've updated a video coming out. Amazing. I do really want to use this time, now that you brought it up, and to reiterate the fact that you are coming out with videos and working on videos. We have an entire video team dedicated on our dev side and our publisher side. It's going to be a huge focus for Zoic moving forward. I think it is in the digital publishing world as well. I think videos are just kind of the next step. I think the returns in revenue and engagement are incredible. Zoic is also working on some really exciting features in terms of, producing videos and making videos. So even if you do not have videos of your own, you're like, oh, I don't even own a video camera, I don't want my face in the videos, I don't know how to produce it. Good news for you is that Zoic's going to be working on creating tools to basically turn your already existing content into videos. So that way you can have, bottom of the page sidebar floating video ads, which, work really, really well. AZ says, getting declined from Adsense due to low value content. That's interesting. I still have your domain pulled up, and I've looked at this so many times. Jan, if you guys are not familiar, he's actually the lead of our team, and he works with Google kind of hand in hand. He kind of manages the relationship between Zoic and Google. So he is kind of like our insight, and he's kind of the one we can, point to so they can kind of pester Google for issues like this. Adrian, I'm going through your site right now. I see you've changed out the layout a little bit. It looks really good. If anyone else out there is also struggling with getting a approval for Ad Manager, and if you're in Adrian's shoes right now, he's getting denied for low value content. So something that I do on my end, so we actually also only see low value content as a reason for the denial on our end. We have no other insight to this, or else I promise we would share it. There's nothing we won't be transparent about. But something that I like to do when I see low value content as a reason for the denial again is I actually like to go start with your menu, and I go through all the categories and make sure that there's sufficient articles under each category of your menu. So let's say, for instance, so Adrian has a climbing site. One of his sections is bouldering. I'll click on bouldering, and then down below I see that there are 7 or 8 articles, which is beautiful. And then, I can even click on one article and I can see he's got tons of words, tons of images. It looks great. It looks neat. And then from basically there, I'll go to the next section. His next one is gear. And then I'll kind of go through and I'll make sure that there's a lot of articles and there's a lot of content in each article. So sometimes the most common thing I see is, let's say he has another one. Let's say in his bouldering section, he only had, let's say, 2 articles underneath it. Google will actually flag that as low value content. So it's important to go through and make sure that each menu category has, I would say, a minimum of 6 articles in total. And then you want to make sure that each article itself has a minimum, I would say a minimum of 500 words. It's good to have an image or 2 in there. But yeah, that's essentially it. And then you also want to make sure that you at least have around 20 to 25 articles minimum on the entire domain. So a site can be brand new, but it can't be, brand new without actual content or articles on it. So that's kind of like the bare minimum. But again, if you guys are also seeing a denial for low value content and you're like, hey, Charlie, I think my site met all those criteria, as you just said, feel free to go into Twist and just post a thread into Twist. And then right after this, I basically go from here into Twist for the rest of the day. So I can go through and just spot check, other things I look for. Another small one that Google looks for, and it's not as important, but if you have, or you should have, a contact us section of your menu or somewhere on your homepage or somewhere where your users can easily find it. And then just make sure you have an email there that your users can actually contact you with, or vice versa. And sometimes it's just a good, if you have a couple emails, I would just use the same email that you use with Ad Manager for the contact us email. That's not as important, I believe, but I think it's been talked or touched upon before, so it's an easy fix, and it's something we can easily avoid. Mr. Wright says, my site was rejected by Zoic, and I need to know which content is scraped, because I just removed the suspected ones and already ones on healthcom.com. I'm still afraid to reapply again, because I have people writing on the blog and I don't know where any of the copyright from, but I don't know if you can help. Sorry, the page just refreshed and went all the way down. But I don't know if you can help out to see before I apply again, because I was told that I was not able to apply if I get rejected again. So Mr. Wright, we can't actually go out and point exactly where the scraped content was found. Because that falls under like the responsibility of the publisher, just to ensure that all content is original. But I would just, I would go through your pages and just honestly just go through and just make sure that they aren't scraped. If you have, other people, or if you've hired others to write content for you, then I just think it's going to be important from now and moving forward that when someone does write a new article, that you're just going to have to spot check it before it gets published. But then again, if you are being honest with us, everyone, and you're saying, hey, I really didn't know I was hiring people to write content, I'm willing to make changes. If you're willing to work with us and be honest, then we're going to give you the same value and effort back. But sometimes if you're being, a little bit misleading, sometimes it's easier for us to just, shut the door and move on, because we do need to ensure the sites that we work with and bring on kind of, are up to both Zoic and Google standards, because we have a bunch of ad networks as partners, and in order to maintain a healthy relationship with them, we just need to make sure that all sites meet this kind of the basic criteria. Armstrong says, I don't know how to use SSH, FSTP. All-in-one says my backup file too large. I try to upload with File Manager, but it fails. Okay, so it sounds like the plugin issue was part of it. So it sounds like you have a pretty big site, Armstrong. so there's another one. So you have all-in-one backup, and then there's also an Updraft Plus that you can use, and you can actually use both plugins simultaneously to kind of split the bandwidth and during the migration process. But in terms of FSTP, so I think you meant to say SFTP, but essentially we do have a really good article on this, and it basically tells you and walks you through how to access these files while you're on our hosting. So Armstrong, can you do me a quick favor and can you just check out that article? I just threw it down in the chat. I think it's still loading through. Boom, there it is for you. Ali says, my site has lost considerable traffic after the May core update. Any idea whether this has been a general phenomenon? So I'm actually gonna have to read up on this, Ali. I know you have a thread already open in Twist, but I think that if this is sorry, I'm just pulling this up. I'm making a note for me now so I can actually look into this later. I'll have to look into what exactly the update was and how exactly this May core update and exactly how it could play into us. To be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure and comfortable with exactly what the May core update was. But no, I would kind of go back a little bit, and I know your Google Search Console has no errors. I know we were working on that yesterday, but I'll get some more insight on what exactly this update was, and just make sure it's not something pertaining to your site. Because I know you are kind of seeing a more general uprising trend in terms of traffic, and I know you're still writing new content, which is huge, and I'm working on SEO. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I'm gonna say, is it Kiari? Again, I'm really sorry if I butchered that, but he says, my site is being reviewed by platform quality team. What can I do? So in terms of the review, there's not much you can do on that end. But what you can do now is you can basically go through the different tabs of your dashboard, and you can see that there's probably some setup steps you can do in terms of monetization or site speed and setting up Leap. That way, when your site is approved or finishes the review and you get all set up for monetization, you can basically just be ready once the reviews are done. So you're not waiting on anyone else at that time. You can kind of just get ready and get set live. But you should also check out the levels dashboard. That gives you a really good insight and some really good information in terms of just optimizing your setup entirely. It goes basically from the beginner to the fully experienced features and options and setups. So there's always something you can do there. And if you're saying, hey, Charlie, I've done everything in the levels dashboard, top to bottom, I would say amazing. That's incredible. From there, there's always something else you can do. So, you can just work on your SEO efforts and finding, keyword search and terms to write about, or you can just start improving SEO for your current articles and just drive more traffic that way. Mohammed says, can I add a domain to the existing domain on the same Gmail account? And will Zoak accept the site once the domain is added? So I think when you said, can I add it to the same Gmail account? I'm assuming that you're using a Gmail account for Azoik. If that's the case, you can add as many domains to one Azoik account. It is against policy to have more than one Azoik account. But at the same time, you can add as many domains, Mohammed, to your one current existing Azoik account. So there's no need to create a second one. Creating a second one might actually just create a handful of more work on your end. In terms of getting approval for Google and setting up AdSense and having duplicate accounts. So Mohammed, just go ahead and add those domains to your current account. Ash says, my traffic has plummeted the last few days too. So Ash, thanks for joining again. Love to see you. I hate to hear that, but I do think this is something that I'm gonna have to dedicate some of my time today, because if this is an issue for you others, it could be for others as well. Ash, I'm gonna go off what Ali's saying here. Have your articles also, decreased in rankings at all in Google Search Console? Or are you still ranking just about the same? Sorry, excuse me. This core update has been a mess. Yeah, I'm interested what this is. So I probably should have been more inclined on this, considering it's already out and I should be ahead of the game, but I will have to take a look into this, and I can help you out with your setup later. Oh, gosh, Carrie says, my site is being reviewed by Platform Quality Team for 30 days now. So this is probably something that is going to require attention either on your or on our end. The way we have it set up is unless the site just has very few traffic, Carrie, then that's the only reason why it might not get reviewed in time. So let's say if you're seeing 1 visit a day or 2 visits a day, it might take us, 30 to 50 days in order to get 100 plus or 100 more visits. And the reason why we have to wait is basically just because we need to actually accurately analyze your current traffic metrics and make sure that they are like real and high quality. So if you only have 50 to 80 visits, it's your data can be skewed very easily from a couple of visits. So it's important for us to see a good quantity of numbers. That way it's just, we know it's all high quality for the most part. So if you have a really small site, Carrie, I would say just try to work on writing new content and SEO. That way you can improve traffic. Also improving SEO will help with organic traffic, which will have a better chance of you getting approved. And then after you're approved, you also see better returns and revenue. Because organic visitors normally do engage with your content the best. Sorry, the page reloaded and it shot me to the bottom again. I want to make sure I don't miss any of these questions. Francis says, I got approved for Adsense. How come Azoik did not approve my site? Francis, I'm not sure exactly what your domain is, but the policies are mostly in line between Google and Zoic. However, our review processes are different. I'm not sure exactly how Adsense does it on their end, but I know we do look for a handful of things on our end. And if there is kind of an issue on our end, even with our review, then the Adsense approval does not hold ground or does not hold weight. At the same time, Francis, there are plenty of cases where we do have false positives in our reviews. So if you're saying, hey, I do really think that my traffic is legit and high quality and real, my content's great, I'm not violating any policies, then I would actually just say, hey, open a thread into us and say, hey, Charlie, I was with you on Facebook Live. I was denied but approved for Adsense. Can you just double check to make sure we didn't make a mistake here? And I'll be more than happy to. And if we did make a mistake, I'll be more than happy to A, admit it, and then B, make changes and revert it so you are approved. But Francis, I do agree it can be a bit confusing. Sports HD says, hi there. Setting placeholders for the first time. Are automatic placeholders from the plugin enough? Or do I need to add placeholders with the Chrome extension as well? Or both? Thanks. Beautiful question. That was exactly what we kind of look for and I think is beneficial to all. So Sports, if you are using WordPress, I would say the first thing you should do is do the automatic placeholders through the plugin. They do generate about 60 placeholders and they add top of the page, the bottom of the page, middle of content, sidebar content. So they do cover you very well, but I do think it's very important to understand that the plugin placeholders are not perfect because obviously your domain might be very different than Armstrong's, might be very different than Francis's, might be very different than Ali's. Basically what I'm saying is that every site doesn't have the same layout or the exact same theme going on. So the translation from the plugin placeholders will not be exactly perfect. So I would say that the best first step is to do the plugins and then visit a bunch of your top landing pages and add any more placeholders in using the Chrome extension. So that kind of answers your last point, is that actually both is the best. And the reason why is you got to consider how our artificial intelligence works. Essentially, these placeholders, as you guys I'm sure are aware how they work, they are potential ad locations. They are not fixed ad locations. So let's say you have 30 placeholders on one page. You're giving our AI a ton of variance and a ton of different testing variables for your for your users. So at first, it might take a minute for our AI to actually learn your site and learn what works best for each user. But in the long run, you're enabling so much more potential of our AI having this many placeholders. Before I go on too much of a rant, I kind of just want to wrap that up and say it's always good to have more placeholders than not. You're just giving yourself and our AI more potential to grow and learn your site. And then, of course, after 6 months, depending on your site's traffic, you'll kind of be dialed in. But then also adding more placeholders is really good, because let's say you have a really long article, and you don't go through and make sure that the article has placeholders throughout the entire article and the bottom. You're missing out on a bunch of potential revenue and ad locations. So if you go through a really long article and you do add more using the Chrome extension on top of the plugin, those will actually find the location on other longer articles, so you don't have to go through every single page specifically. But I would say it's to reiterate, plugin placeholders, add more using the Chrome extension. The more the merrier. And another one is, make sure if your guys are comfortable with it, of course you can do whatever you like. Bottom of the page ads are crucial. I think they perform very, very well. Not only do I think, but the data also supports that and thinks the same. So that's just the one I would make sure you have in there. And native ads if you are comfortable with running that. Armstrong, this is in terms of the host migration for you all. He goes, I have a backup file and I had extracted from the old host. It's 968 megabytes. You can lift the limit to whatever I can upload from file manager. I can restore it. So Armstrong, I'm not sure exactly where you're getting stuck along the process again. I don't know if it's the migrating files or if it's just the original backup part, but I do think this is something that's going to be best for Twist. I wish I could right now give you a straight up answer. I promise if I could, I would without hesitation. But I think there's just a little bit of digging and troubleshooting I need to do on my end to make sure that I have everything straight. And that there's not anything on our end that's actually blocking the migrating process. Moha Movie says, I thought my Adsense earning low. My D is wrong. Zoic earning very low. So Moja Movies. So basically, when you're seeing Azoik earnings much lower than Adsense, that's 99.9% of the time something due with the way your site is set up. So something with the configurations or the placeholders. Sometimes you have Adsense ads still showing on your domain, which will kill your Azoik revenue, but also show some Adsense revenue, but will also hurt your, kind of your user experience. So if you're seeing Azoik earnings much lower than Adsense, this is definitely something we want to bring to, our attention in Twist. And we can kind of say, hey, X, Y, and Z are the reasons why, because if with a perfect setup, you would not be seeing much lower earnings than Adsense. It's, and there's just data, and there's tons of other sites to back that up as well. But again, I'm more than happy to go through and check those things out from my side specifically. Abdul says the same thing. I feel I'm earning lower compared to Adsense. So again, that's going to be something with your setup. If you guys are comfortable with it, you guys can drop your domain down in the comment section, and I can give you a quick look through. I can even share my screen and go through it just to make sure that we don't have anything wrong on our end. But then also, if you are comfortable with sharing your domain, I can kind of show you how I do it from my end, so you can also replicate it from yours in case you're ever seeing it in the future. But you can also see kind of how I interact with the dashboard and see the things I look for. But again, this is most likely something just with your setup, and I can help you out. Mr. Wright says, all right, I'm willing to be honest. We appreciate that. If you're willing to be honest, we're willing to be honest and help you out. Dorsheef says, finally able to arrive. I'm happy you can join. I love seeing the engagement today. I think it's been really good. I don't want to talk too much because I want to get to these questions. But I love having you guys here, to be honest. He says, Dora asked his first question. I would like to implement Azoik placeholders before every H2 title. How can I do that with the WordPress plugin. So you can actually go through Door if you're in WordPress dashboard, you can find the Azoik plugin, and then you can actually go to options on the far right. And I think what you can do is, I'm trying to do this from the back of my head. I'm trying to visualize. So basically you'll see an options section to the right of the placeholder, and they'll have a number there. And what that number represents is the paragraph that the placeholder is going to be attached to. So let's say you have a top of the page, or let's say you have an under the first paragraph WordPress placeholder, and it has a 1 next to it. That means it's going to fall directly underneath the first paragraph. So you can either try to calculate it that way and say the H2 always falls after the third paragraph. Let's add a placeholder in the plugin with the rule that it's going to say, option 3. So that way it'll always show after the third paragraph, or at least the placeholder will always show after the third paragraph. Or you can also use the Chrome extension. This is a really easy way to just add a single placeholder. The Chrome extension is still a really good tool, and I really want you all to utilize it. But basically, you can just download the Chrome extension. You can go to create placeholders. Just literally just click on your H2 title, and then you can actually just add one right above it. So right there. So that way, that placeholder will find that location on every other page that also has an H2. So those are the two ways you can do it. I would probably suggest using the Chrome extension. It's a little bit easier and more straightforward. Moving on here, Ali says, I'm about to reach level 1. Is having 10,000 page views a month a requirement, or if I get 10,000 page views all the time, that will be enough? So first off, well done on the progress so far. I'm about to reach level 1. Great stuff. Regarding the 10,000 page views in a month, you actually will have to do that within a calendar month. And that will have to be within 1 month's time. That does not mean a span of 30 days random to random. So it'll actually have to be like through the month of May, or let's say you're this month, Ali, or let me take a step back. Ali, let's say you hit the 10,000 page views from May 1st to May 31st, along with, I think, the $100 earnings requirement. Then you will be qualified to move up to the next level. And if you're sitting there saying, hey, I actually met that criteria in the month of May to level up, why haven't I yet? No need to worry. We actually just review the sites that meet the criteria and then actually just manually push them along, just so we make sure that everything is working and looking correct. So if you're saying, well, when should I expect that kind of bump up in level to happen? Those will usually happen by the 10th of this month. So if you hit the criteria in May, you'll be bumped up by the latest June 10th. But to answer your question again, Ali, you're going to have to hit the 10K and $100 earning from May 1st to May 31st, or from June 1st to June 30th, etc. So it's going to have to be within 1 month. Moha says, my website blogger only for domain ad. A little bit confused on the question here. I've seen publishers integrate with Blogger recently. There can be some DNS issues due to the way Blogger hosts their sites. But yes, of course, you can add your domain to your account, and we can kind of try to work through those things and maybe figure out the perfect configuration so you can work with Blogger. But yeah, go ahead and add your domain. Abdul says, if I have about 3 domains on Azoik, if one of they get a strike from Azoik or Adsense, will others be affected? Others will not be affected. It will be just by the domain. So let's say you have a site on Adsense and Azoik, or let's say you have 3 on Adsense and 3 on Azoik, and one of the Adsense sites gets a disablement. That domain will also get turned off in Azoik. But the other 2 domains will remain, they'll remain unaffected. Ash says, my ranking looks to be the same. It varies slightly day by day, but it's actually slightly up. The average visit time is down though. I was combining big data analytics and trying to find some patterns. First off, great job utilizing the big data analytics. I don't think it's utilized enough. But if they're ranking the same, but you're seeing, so you're actually seeing are more visits, but slightly less engagement. That is something we can work on and make some settings on our end. Maybe there are some ads showing, or maybe there's too many ads showing. Maybe you have settings enabled so it's not user experience focused, even though I think it is. But we can also create some rules, Ash, and basically say, if you think it is the ads hurting your user experience, we can basically go through and create rules to limit ads per pages. So that way you say, at most you're seeing X amount of ads in total. Even if I have 30 placeholders on one page, we can limit it to X amount of ads. But I know, to fill you guys in, Ash runs a F1 site. So as you guys know, we are currently in the F1 season, but as you also know, the F1 does go through a bit of seasonality even in the week during the season. Obviously, maybe Monday might still be kind of exciting because you have news from Sunday's race, and then Tuesday, Wednesday might be really quiet, and Thursday maybe even a little bit more on the quiet side. But by the time practice and qualifying comes around, you might actually see that jump in traffic again. So it's important to check the rankings, which is great. I'm kind of going off the next question there. Second language asks, my traffic is decreasing too. Again, this is something we can look into, but it's most likely to be the first thing we're going to ask is basically see if you have any errors in Google Search Console. So if you guys are saying, hey, my site traffic is decreasing, like I want to get to the bottom of this, let's look into it. Go ahead, open a thread in Twist, say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah from live this morning. We talked about this. You covered Google Search Console, and I just want you to include basically all the information you can, including if you're seeing any errors in Google Search Console, and we can maybe try to figure out the reason why you're seeing errors. Usually it's a DNS thing. Sometimes you just need to add a TXT Google verification record that usually exists at your host and doesn't get added into Azoik. We can just do that. But there's a handful of other things we'd like to look into as well. Dora's next question is, sorry, hold on. My mouth is doing a lot of talking for early in the morning. Dora says, I signed up to Mediation Ad Partners and approved by Google, but didn't see any earning from that channel. Should I need to do anything else? So just to make sure that mediation is set up completely, what I want you to do is, Doors, can you go to the monetization tab of your dashboard, go down to the mediation section, and then actually click on mediation. And if you see Google AdSense there, or I think it just says AdSense, regardless, sometimes you'll see right underneath the AdSense right there, it'll say pending. If it's showing pending, that's something we can manually link on the back end. But if it says nothing below it, if it just says like delete or close or remove or something, that means it's fully set up. So that would be the first thing I check, Door. And then if that looks all good and you're not seeing pending or anything else, then all that means is that the Zoic partners are actually outbidding the AdSense partners for your ad inventory. So to take a step back, the way mediation works is, let's say you have a placeholder and you have the Azoik partners over here and you have AdSense partners here. Enabling mediation doesn't just have the Azoik partners bid on your inventory. It actually has all of the networks together bidding on your inventory. What this does from your end, it basically ensures that you're earning as much as possible for each ad location. But at the same time, if you're saying, Charlie, it's set up as you say, and you're not seeing any earnings in the mediation tab, that's okay. All that means is that Azoik partners are outbidding AdSense partners. And just a follow-up question that I see a handful is that those mediation earnings, if you do make them through AdSense, those will actually be paid out through your AdSense dashboard. Hopefully I said that right. Hung Hyung. Hi, I just tuned in. Thanks for joining. I love seeing the new faces. I love talking to you guys. I think I don't want to go on too much of a rant, but I do think that these live streams give you a good opportunity to show that, I'm a real person, you're a real person, and it kind of just gives us another, way of communicating instead of just sitting behind a keyboard all day. But yeah, I love doing these live streams, so I get to talk to you guys. So the next question is from Alec. He says, how do I contact support? when are live chat available? So live chat probably will not become a feature for now, at least in this program, just due to the amount of numbers and sites we use. But how you contact support is through our Twist channel. So you might say, it might be a little bit confusing because we're using Twist as like a third-party Discord for support, but all the Zoic onboarding team and all the tech partners, they're actually in those Twist channels as well. So we can actually troubleshoot and facilitate directly with either our entire software or with our tech team. So to answer your question, you can go either here, for example, in the live stream. This is another place you can get support. But the Twist channels is where we primarily run it. We just find it a lot easier than emailing back and forth through tickets. It's more of a messaging system. So it's not formal and we don't need paragraphs. We just need to get the vital information, get you your solution, and move on. And the other really good thing about the Twist channels is utilizing the search function. So you're saying, hey, I have this issue. Let me just do a quick search, a keyword search in Twist for my issue. And 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a previous thread that's already been solved with the same issue. But then again, if the solution doesn't work for you, that's also very understandable, thinking about how much each domain is kind of set up and how much they vary. So every solution is not going to be perfect for everyone. I'm going on a rant. Twist is the best way to get support. Sorry. AZ says there is an option in Azoik called Always Compete in terms of Azoik versus Adsense. Does this option still exist? So I know there was an Always Compete section inside the placeholders, but I'm not sure what exactly it was in terms of Zoic versus Adsense. But the Always Compete option that I'm familiar with is that's in the placeholder. You can select Always Compete. And basically what this means is that placeholder will always try to show and serve on your pages. I wouldn't say this is a suggested practice. I wouldn't say I'm also the most educated on it. But what I'll say, I'll give my 2 cents, is just to think of how the AI works. So the AI is doing potential ad locations. And if you're forcing an ad location every single visit, you're kind of taking away from the optimization of our AI. You might find over a year's time that placeholder always performs really well in X, Y, and Z size. So then maybe down the road, when you have a ton of data to support your decision to have it always compete, then you could. But I would say if you're on the early in if you're early in the optimization timeline of the AI, I would say have this always compete feature off, just so our AI can actually optimize and learn your site perfectly. But then at the same time, the domain is yours. I can't tell you what you can and cannot do. And if you say, hey, Charlie, this is what I want to do, then that's totally fine. And I'm going to do everything in my power to help you do that. Second Language asks, what about if I wrap a Adsense? Would all the 30 placeholders show on the page? I'm a bit confused on your question here, Second Language. What about if I wrap a Adsense? Would all the 30 placeholders show on the page? So, yeah, I'm still a bit confused here, but essentially, if you are having... I'm actually going to take a step back, and this is what I see most common. So if a publisher, let's say you, Second Language, you're coming from AdSense and you want to test the Zoic as well. Let's say you're using AdSense auto ads. What you can actually do is, you can just set your site traffic under the settings tab of your dashboard to 100%. So that way all your users are seeing Azoik versions of your site. But what that also does is our system will then say, oh, they have AdSense auto ads and they're sending 100% of the traffic to Azoik. So Azoik will actually automatically wrap all of your AdSense ads right away. So you don't have to do anything on your end. But then you might be saying, oh, what if I'm not optimizing my AdSense side of things? Well, then you can also go through an enable mediation, which I kind of talked about before, that allows AdSense and Azoik partners to bid against each other for the same ad inventory. So that way you're not missing out on potential earnings in AdSense or Zoic. You're kind of just optimizing in one spot together. I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it did. If not, maybe some more background information will help. Motivation says, please, when do level features will be available for French websites? So I think we are currently working on getting the levels dashboard in other languages. I think we're just working on the translation. So we do have a French team and a French sales team. But if you motivation, if I love, first off, I love your name's Motivation Positivity. But motivation, let's say, clearly you're writing in English right now and you're writing in really good English, and I'm assuming you can understand, my English right now. I would just say go ahead and twist and say, hey, I am a French publisher, but I do speak good English. Can I get access to the levels dashboard? And I can at least go in and ask and at least put in, I'll fight for you in the levels team. I'll say, hey guys, let's see if we can get this enabled for them. We don't need a translation. They're English speaking. But to answer your question again, we are working on getting these translations so that everyone can get access to the levels dashboard. Armstrong says, I really don't like the auto placeholders. Excuse me. I'm not sure if you're meaning the WordPress plugin or the AI placeholders, but I can kind of cover both. He says, I feel it overloads my page and may get in the way with the user experience. How can I control and determine the ad locations for each of my page and post? So there's something I want you to remember here. I've said this a couple times, but I know it can be a little confusing. So your placeholders that you add, Armstrong, no matter how many are on your page, those are just potential ad locations. So let's say you have a page and it has 10 placeholders. We might only show 3 to 5 ads on that page. But let's say you have 100 placeholders on the same size page. We still might only show 3 to 5 to 6 ads in total. It's just a potential ad location for our AI to test. So there's not a direct correlation with more placeholders, more ads showing on your pages, but there are settings and configurations we can do in the dashboard that say, let's only show this amount of ads for this page. I don't want too many, but sorry. Can you guys see me again? Sorry about that. I think I just lost connection quickly, but I plugged into Ethernet, so I should be okay now. But I'm sorry about that. But all looks well again. Okay. So yeah, Armstrong, again, so let's say you have a ton of placeholders on your pages, but you're saying, oh, I don't want it to hurt user experience. I think the easiest and most simplified feature and setting you can change is if you actually go to the settings tab of your dashboard, you can go down to, what is it called? I think it's called optimization goals, and you can basically select revenue focus, which will show more ads. And you can also find balance, which is kind of the happy medium between user experience and revenue. And you can also choose user experience focus. So user experience focus will show less ads, balance will show the middle ground, revenue focus will show more ads. So remember, placeholders does not mean more ads, but we can configure those settings to either test more ads or fewer ads. Usports says, related to Zoic earnings, which one should I use? Revenue oh, I swear I didn't see that question. That was literally just by perchance. Beautiful layup to that question. But related to easy earnings. So this is, he said, sorry, I'm just blabbering without speaking out loud. Usports asked, which one should I use? Revenue focused, balanced, or user experience focused? Thanks for your last reply. So what we would suggest is the balanced, because based off all of the data we have from when Azoik first started, we've kind of configured balance to be the best medium between user experienced focus while also focusing on revenue. Sorry, brain was just shutting down for a second. But to answer your question shortly, balanced. Balanced is what we recommend. I do believe it also says recommended next to it. But at the same time, Usports, this is your domain. So if you're like, hey, I'm not super inclined, or I'm not, I don't care as much just to earn every dollar. I want all my users to have a really good experience. Go ahead and select user experienced. Or if you're like, hey, I don't believe ads will kind of affect my user experience as much, I'm okay with pushing more ads, then you can select revenue focused. But to answer your question in short, balance, I believe, is the best way. Abdul says, I'll open a ticket. Beautiful. I'm assuming that ticket you meant in Twist. If so, I'll see you in Twist. That's great. Mohammed says, is the domain added to the second domain accepted? Excuse me. It's kind of a mouthful. Mohammed says, is the domain added to the second domain accepted once it is added to the same Gmail account? So, Mohammed, if you're going to add a domain to your current Zoic account, it will not be just approved and accepted immediately, but because it's going to have to go through the same review that your original one did. But if you're saying, hey, the traffic is the same, the content meets the same criteria, then you can be pretty confident saying that, it'll probably be accepted. We also have, if you look up Azoik Access Now basic ad policy requirements, you'll basically see a full list of everything we need in order to approve a site for monetization. So, we're not hiding anything on the back end. It's all public facing. Those are the exact criteria. There's no ifs, ands, or buts or anything else. It's all laid out there for you in the sheet there. Ali says, got it, thanks. I was well on my way, but it seems that the core updates wants me to remain in the Access Now program. Well, you still get the same access to features, essentially, in Access Now and level 1. We do want you to level up because you can easily do it. But again, this May core update is something I have to look into. And then, everything I gather from it, Ali, you'll be one of the first people to tell. And then I'll do my investigation, see if it's affecting others. And then maybe Thursday time next week, I'll have a plethora of information to kind of share about this update and kind of how to navigate, current rankings and traffic wise. Ken RBLX or Roblox says, hey, Zoic is the best. Thank you. I agree. Ken, you're the best. You guys that are all here today are the best. I really do love talking to you guys. I really love this about my job. Abdul says, Charlie, much love back. Shafrir says, I really hope I didn't butcher that. I know you've been in here before, so I apologize. My domain has been in review for a long time. Can you please check where's the problem? How long will it take for expected review? And he did. Let me just look really quick. It'll only take me a second. But essentially, if you guys are curious about the status of your review, we did build out the monetization tab of your dashboard to basically cover everything in terms of the review and the status. So right now I'm in your dashboard. I went to monetization and I'm not seeing anything there because your site's approved. So I'm not sure if you maybe just missed the email we sent out to you, but your site is actually approved. The only thing we need to wait for before ads can show is for Google to review your domain. They've already approved your account and there's no previous denials. So on your end, there's no action required. Taking a quick look at your site, I see you have AdSense ads, which is good. That means you're already in good standing. These articles look great, so I see absolutely no issue why Google would not accept this and kind of move forward. So to answer your question, you're already accepted, you're already approved for monetization. No action required on your end. But to answer the last part of that, the Google domain review can take anywhere from literally 15 minutes to 2 weeks. We haven't seen it take over a week or 10, 12 days in a long time. That was more at the very beginning of when they kind of set up this process. They weren't ready for the numbers that they were about to see, but they've kind of worked on that. They've caught up. They don't have any on like in the background anymore, so it'll probably be just a few days to a couple hours. Loop True says, I'm late, but why is my Epmv less than $1, even though I do get some of my traffic from the US? So Loop True, there's a handful of things. There's a lot of metrics we need to look into. But some of the things I like to look at is, where's your main source of traffic? And you got to think about how the ad revenue index kind of comes into play in terms of where your traffic is coming from, in terms of country and region. But then you also want to think about where your traffic is coming from in terms of source. If it's coming from Google, beautiful. If it's organic, they're going to engage with your content the most and produce the best earnings. Or maybe they're coming from random, other social media traffic, which is fine and great, but sometimes they don't engage with your traffic as much. That's something I would look into. Another small, more random specific thing is Loop True. Go into your dashboard and search for objectionable content. And basically that'll show you any pages that are getting flagged by either inappropriate or explicit words. And when that happens, we won't show ads on those pages. So if you just want to make those edits and changes of those words, then ads will then be able to show on those pages again. Another thing to look for is if you're showing both Zoic and Adsense ads on your pages at the same time, that'll produce a pretty bad user experience. But then it'll also split the earnings between Zoic and Adsense, which creates lots of issues. I would look into your Google Search Console to make sure that you're ranking well, so your traffic's high. But there's a lot of other things I need to go in to look into as well. There's a really good article I can share with you that covers a lot of this. Sorry, I'm trying to type and search and copy this here. But this is a really good article for you, Loop True. It kind of goes into the reasons why your revenue and Epmv can vary. I wish I could give you a more straight up answer, but I just need more. I need more metrics and I need data, and I need to look at your actual setup in order to give you a true and accurate answer. Abdul says, do I get cPanel on a Zoic free hosting? What happens if there's a strike? Well, Zoic hits to my site. So you can access your files through Zoic hosting via SFTP. I actually included that article up above. You can kind of go through the section and find it, or I can send it again if you'd like. And if there's a strike, let's say you are turned off for, so let's say you have like scraped content or something, we will actually turn off your site. And then moving on to the future, we won't kick off your site now, but maybe, later down the road, we won't be able to configure a new SSL certificate, other things like that. So down the road, you might have to move away from Azoik hosting, but we won't right away. If you are on Azoik hosting and you get hit with an AWS abuse report or abuse violation, we then actually have to kick you off our hosting. So I would say be very careful with that. I know there's been a couple of people asking about, will I get kicked off or will I get denied monetization? I think that's just kind of a ballpark we want to just try to avoid in general. I understand sometimes things happen and there are malicious attacks, but the only way you'll get kicked off Azoik hosting for now is by extreme invalid traffic or an AWS abuse violation. Adrian says, can you say exactly where that always compete is? Because I think that I turned it on, but I would like to change it. Adrian, I can look for you again. I know you have my email, but it should be, if you're actually on one of your pages where you see a placeholder, enable that placeholder so you're not in the dashboard. Go to your page, enable the Chrome extension, enable the placeholders, hit edit placeholders, find the size sections on the left side, and then actually go through and select, a couple different sizes. Excuse me, I forgot what I was saying. Look for the always compete in the size section of your placeholder. But I can double check that because I haven't looked for the always compete feature in a minute. So, as you guys know, Zoic moves very fast and things change every other week, every other day, or they change quick. So sometimes they can move around. So it's not the most perfect answer, but again, I can help you find that right after this. Mariana says, I have trouble with SiteGround. I asked them to include Zoic IPs, but they refused to do it. So, Mariana, what it sounds like, which I believe you're talking about, is that you integrated with Azoik, and your site was down with an origin error. So you were trying to send them the Azoik IPs to whitelist, but they refused to do so. I would first ask, are you on SiteGround shared hosting? If so, they should still be able to whitelist the Azoik IPs. But if not, there's another section in that origin errors article down below the whitelisting. It's called setting up the XXF, which is the X forward header. And basically, the reason why you're seeing origin errors, Mariana, is because when the user request goes from my computer, let's say I'm trying to access your domain, it'll go from my computer to your origin server, and then it'll go through the Azoik CDN. And when it goes to the Azoik CDN, it will actually show an Azoik IP. And then your host might say, oh no, we've seen the same IP over and over and over. Now every user is coming through the same small list of IPs. This is bot traffic. That's when they block our IPs. And then the site sees origin error. So whitelisting the IPs is why we ask you to do that when you see origin error. But the X forward header option, which you should ask SiteGround to do for you, basically changes the user request header to show not an Azoik IP, but it actually shows the real IP of the user. So that way you just won't see an origin error anymore. So those are the two best options. But I do believe that we should be able to configure with SiteGround easily because we have tons of sites currently doing it. But then also, if you are approved for monetization, you can actually go to Azoik's free WordPress hosting, and you'll obviously not have that issue because we won't be blocking our own IPs or sending origin errors. But we also, if you want to look up, Mariana, last point here, we do have an article that covers all the hosts and registrars and basically all the compatible partners in terms of hosting and whatnot. So if you type in Azoik certified seamless into Google, it'll bring you to that document. Ezekiel says, please, V Gossip Tops applied to Azoik but was not approved in extended periods to reapply. As much please, I've amended greatly. Can you adjust the date? Yeah. Can you go ahead and to open a thread in Twist, please, for me, Ezekiel? I will be more than happy to go through and see, when the site was denied and what for, and we'll, I can advocate for you to try to get another review. But I do remember seeing that domain in review recently, so I'm not sure exactly what I can do for you. Second Language says, what is the Azoik Twist channel? So basically our Twist channels are our primary avenue for support. You guys go there and you'll actually work hand in hand with the Azoik onboarding team. So you're not working with some random people that are going to facilitate answers to us. You are working with us hand in hand. So it is directly to Azoik. But I can actually send you an article right now. Second Language, I'm going to post it down in the comment section again. And it's essentially how to access Twist, not only how to access it, but how to create a thread and how to kind of pose an issue. So when you integrate with the Zoic Second Language, I'm not sure what your domain is, but if you're comfortable with posting it down in the comment section, I can make sure that you have an active invite to these channels. But when you do integrate with our program, you do automatically get an invite sent out to these Twist channels. But again, if you're not seeing it, I can send you another one. Mariana says, since I moved to SoiCrown, my Epmv is at 0.3. So again, there's a ton of metrics we actually want to investigate here, Mariana. This is something that's really good for our Twist channels because there's just a lot we have to look into. I want to make sure there's no DNS compatibility errors. I want to make sure that you have no conflicting ad networks showing at the same time. I want to make sure you have sufficient placeholders. There's nothing being flagged by objectionable content. I want to see your traffic source, where it's coming from, how they're engaging with your content. And then going from there, I can basically give you a better answer. But without going too deep into your exact setup, I can't really offer a very valid answer right now, even though I really wish I could. I really do wish I could. But I can do that for you in our Twitch channels. I can actually go through and really kind of file that out. Armstrong says, thanks for all your responses. I'm going offline soon. Welcome back. I thought my data was out. Thanks a lot. I hope to reach you on Twist. Thanks, Florida. So yeah, Armstrong, go into Twist, and I'll be more than happy to help some more and actually get to the bottom of this and figure it out, and we'll get you onto our hosting without any issues. Abdul says, does the Zoic frown at pushing paid ads on my Zoic website? I'm not exactly sure. Oh, paid traffic. So yes, Abdul, that is not the best route to go. 99.9, I will say 100% of the time, paid traffic will lead to a low quality, invalid traffic violation. We'll have to actually turn your site off. So do not pay for traffic. Instead, you can just put in some effort for SEO for free and save all your money. And then in the return will be not you paying for traffic that you're going to lose your monetization for. So you're going to pay for no return. Instead, put in some good effort or pay an SEO expert to help, kind of improve organic traffic. That way you're actually seeing, a return as an investment. There's actually an ROI there. There's not you paying for traffic to be turned off. You're actually putting in money and effort to SEO to increase revenue. And then over time, you're actually going to be net positive in earnings, not net negative. But again, paid traffic is never a good route. It'll most likely lead to a demonetization with the Zoic just because the traffic is always very low quality. And it's not real. Proine says, my domain saying already signed up. What to do? So this is something that we can also help with, Pranay. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. That was his question, as you guys can see. So what my follow-up question is going to be is, did you just buy the site? If so, then we're going to have to basically make sure it's removed from the old owner's account, because it sounds like if you bought off someone that they previously were using it as Zoic, we're just going to have to make sure that you are the owner. So you're going to have to verify ownership of your site. We can do that easily in Twist. Again, this is where Twist comes in handy. And then we can basically remove it from the old account so you can add it to yours. But confirm or deny that you did just buy the site off someone else. I will look at your site for you now, vGossip Tops. It does look like your site was hit with prohibited articles, which means it does not qualify for re-review, but I can look through just to make sure we didn't make a mistake here. I see a couple articles in here that could be somewhat surprising, they'll say, essentially like people getting hurt or people, tragic things happening or fatalities. But I can go through to make sure that we didn't make a false positive there. But you're going to have to go ahead into Twist, and I'll do that for you. But I will make sure that, Ezekiel, you do get a fair shot and that we aren't making a mistake here. I'm not going to just send you away without giving you, a real reason or make sure that we didn't make a mistake here. So I will go through and help. GD M9 Short says, which country are better work with the Zoic? Except European countries or Europe country. I'm a little confused to which the question is in terms of our better work with the Zoic. We work with all countries, other than Russia right now, unfortunately. Um, but we work with all countries, so there's not one that works best. If you're asking, maybe which country has the best returns in terms of revenue and Epmv, that'll be from US based traffic. But our team actually we have, basically 3 different teams all over the world in different regions. So we actually cover like the twist channels in our support 24 hours a day. Sometimes it's on the weekend, it's a little on the lighter side, but we still will be in there checking. So I'm a little bit confused on your question, but if you're talking about best earnings in Epmv, that's going to be with US based traffic. Second language says, please send the twist channel. Thank you, everything. I'm actually going to need your domain name, second language, because I'm actually going to have to go into our admin and then send a new invite from there. So I can't just send a new invite here in the comment section, unfortunately. But if you just want to send me your domain in the comment section right now, if you're comfortable with that, I can go into admin and I'll just send you a new one right now. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I looked up second language as a domain name, but I'm not seeing one under second language, so I'm not sure exactly what your domain name is, but I can do that for you. I can send you a new invite. Judy M. says, is Google AdWords traffic are safe for Zoic? I'm not sure what Google AdWords are. Let me see. I'm not sure what Google AdWords is. Oh, it sounds like Google AdWords. It says, through Google Ads, you can create. Oh, that's okay. So it says create online ads to reach people exactly when they're interested in the products and services that you offer. I'm not sure if this works like an affiliate link or another way, but I think that's kind of the way advertisements already work currently, other than what products you might offer. And it's kind of confusing. It's probably gonna be something you have to look up specific to your domain. I don't know if you have like an e-commerce side of your site or not. But I do think you should consider, if you are selling products of your own, which kind of sounds like this AdWords kind of inclines with, that showing advertisements on pages where you're already selling a product might actually hinder your product selling more because you're kind of diluting your own product. So that's kind of maybe how I'll answer that. But again, I can get some more insight on it if you would like. Ezekiel says, I messaged you via the live notification on Twist for you to review my site. Ezekiel, I got you. We don't need to cover that anymore in here. You can ask other questions if you'd like. I'm more than happy to cover them. But I will go through, as I said before. So no need to message me directly through Twist. We actually do not like when that happens. It's better to just post in a thread. Because we're only going to answer questions as they come in, so no one gets special treatment or special attention. And if you do DM me too much, I usually will just, I'll tell you, okay, let's post in a thread. It's okay. Or sometimes, it is okay to DM me if you guys don't want to put your domain or any personal information in the actual thread. That's totally okay. Just say, hey, Charlie, I opened a thread, but I want to give you X, Y, and Z information that's private here. Here's a link to the thread. That's perfect. But yeah, we will answer basically how users come into these channels. Abdul says, actually, I'm asking for knowledge sake, but sometimes we have to send few traffic to affiliate products. I believe disabling ads on such page is fine. So yeah, just for knowledge sake, buying traffic is not a good route. Especially if you're putting money aside to improve traffic. that's also probably going to be short term. So I think in best terms of ROI, you're just going to want to basically use that funding. I would say maybe even hire someone to help you write content and improve SEO and work on your keyword search. That way, in the long run, you're getting organic traffic, coming routinely. It's not going to be a short time thing. Of course, you're going to have to continue to work on SEO and improve things as you go, but that's your best return of investment, is to actually, work on SEO and not paid traffic. Techno8er says, hi, I'm a YouTuber. I made video on tech. I've also made several videos on Azoik. I love that. He says, you guys are awesome. I personally like your service. Huge love from heart. Same here. It's mutual. Huge love for you all. No one in particular. Techno, of course. You guys are all the best. I love doing this so much. But I love to hear that you're a YouTuber, and that you're making videos on tech, and you've actually made videos on Zoic. I would love to check them out. Not from a police side. I'm just curious to see what you write about. You guys can write whatever you want. But I would also say great job, because as I said before, I'm not sure if you heard it, is that Azoik is really pushing hard on video content moving forward. So it's a huge focus for like a big majority of our tech team currently, building out new features. We're also trying to find ways to have better ROI in videos. We're also trying to produce videos of our own, basically through the content that you already have. But again, being a YouTuber and having a blog and running, that's just like you're setting yourself up for success. Techno8er, well done. Kudos to you. You're going to see really, really, good things moving forward, I think, using both. So I'm excited to see what it is. I'm not sure if you've been in our Twitch channels yet, Techno8er. But even if you just want to, open one and say, hey, I joined you this morning. Here's my site. Check it out. Not even with a general question, I can just say, hey, like, this is super cool. I love this. Maybe this could use improvement, or, you don't have this feature enabled that I think could really help in terms of, the direction you want to go. And if not, that's totally fine. But again, I do love having you guys here. Two says, yeah, the Zoak team are really nice. I would agree. I try to be my nicest in the Twitch channels and everything, but at the end of the day, I understand that a lot of times people come into our Twitch channels for support. And when they come in for support, there's usually an issue at hand. And when there's an issue at hand, people aren't always in the best mood. It's kind of like when you work in the restaurant business, people come in and they're hungry. That's why they're there. So they're already not in the best mood. And I think that's a similar way support works. But I just want you guys to know that we really do care a ton about you guys. Like, Azoik really, really does advocate for the publisher insanely hard. I sit 20 feet from the CEO at Zoic, and I know that he would do absolutely anything for you guys specifically. And I want you guys to remember that in the Twitch channels, that we're only here to help you. We're not here to make it worse for you guys. We're not here to make it harder. We don't want to hinder your site performance. We would never do something on our end to hurt you or hurt performance. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, that our main thing is just all we want to do is help you. That was a little bit of a rant, but I think I let that rant go just because there's no other questions down the bottom. But you would like to see streams more often, Adrian, and that's awesome, because we're going to be doing them more often. We like them too. I think it's a good way to just push information very quickly. We actually have a new person joining our team next week. Her name is Taylor. She's awesome. She will be going through some training next week, and for the next couple weeks. You might see her a bit over the next couple weeks, but once we get her kind of trained up and ready to go, that'll basically free up more time for me to do other things. Like, I'll be doing more live streams if you guys like them. We'll be holding them on more platforms, and basically we're gonna be doing anything that helps you guys. So if you're like, hey Charlie, I've always had this idea as X, Y, and Z feature or X way to get support, then literally just let us know, because I can go walk over to our lead and Jan right outside here and say, hey Jan, this was an idea one of our publishers had. They said it would help. Others said it would also help. And then, we're going to basically start working on that right away. And then, sorry, I'm going to answer this question, and I'm going to kind of go back to that. Sports says, is there a way to prevent showing automatic ads easy plugin in a side table of contents? Can I handle it from the plugin? Yes, you can. So Sports, if you're in the WordPress dashboard, find the Azoik plugin, and then actually go into, I think it's the third tab is like the ad tester tab, or whatever the section has the placeholders. You can scroll down and you'll find something called Insertion Rules. And basically what you do is you just find the name of the div of your sidebar table of content, or excuse me, your table of contents. And basically what you say is you create an insertion rule that says basically ignore this div element or class. And so if the class is, table of contents or TOC or whatever the table of contents div is called, you can just say insertion rule exclude this div. So then our plugin will say, okay, when we're adding placeholders to a page, we're going to skip that entire div or element or class and not show any ads there. Adrian said, the one issue that I found so far is that Zoic is doing a lot of updates very often, which is good, but it's hard to find information about those updates. Adrian, thank you so much for that insight. We actually agree. If you guys have been in Twist a lot, you've probably seen that Imogen has been posting kind of like Fun Fact Fridays. She's been doing, new update Wednesdays, but it's not fully informative, and we don't think it's the best way to push updates. And Adrian, I think you are 100% correct. It's honestly, it can be very difficult for me sometimes to stay on top of all the updates we do. And I'm in here in the office 40 hours a week, working hand in hand with the developers and everything, and it's still difficult for me. So we actually have a couple of ideas of actually creating kind of like a news board that's kind of built out with like almost a calendar. We're still on the early side of this. We're still kind of like visualizing, mapping it out, but we agree that we need to be pushing all the updates and information to you guys because it's a lot. And at the end of the day, if Zoic is making all these new features that are working well for everyone and doing all these incredible things, then what does it even matter if we're not getting that information to it's cool. Yeah, we have these features, but if you guys don't know about them, then they're just not being utilized. So I do think that we're going to create some type of like newsletter in the dashboard that's also built out with the calendar, as I said before. And basically what this might look like from you guys, say like, hey, this feature was pushed out. This is how you can use it. But then you can also see the calendar like, oh, today's Tuesday. On Thursdays, Charlie's having another live stream. And that's kind of what our vision is right now. It's not built out yet, but yeah, that's kind of where we're going for now. Before I answer these next two questions, I also just want to say that if you guys have anything else you don't like, or if you absolutely hate, or if it's something that bothers you with this program, or even the onboarding, seriously, just let us know. I'm not going to take offense to it. I just want to make sure that if something was annoying for you, it's probably annoying for another. So I'd rather like work through the issues entirely and kind of, make sure it's not annoying for anyone. So if you're saying, oh, I don't want to say something mean or say something negative about it, it's not that we're going to take it personally. It's just that, we want to make changes to better serve you all. But TechnoAder says, I do have another question. I saw some issues with Zoic dashboard on 26th of May, maybe. So on the 23rd and 24th of May, Google had a data reporting issue. So that was not on a Zoic side. Google did post all about it, basically showing, that this basically happened on our end. And of course, we pull our data and everything from Google. So basically, there was no issue. Essentially, it was just a report. It was just a delay in reporting. But all that data has been updated and everything should show up to standard. There should be no issues with that at all. TechnoAder kind of answered your question there. For you, Boom Boom, he says top 5 niches with high RPM. Can you tell us? And TechnoAder says mortgage, attorney, credit, lawyer. Those are absolutely great ones. I think there's a big list to be added there. But TechnoAder is right. And also want to say that the way TechnoAder kind of answered Boom Boom's question right there in the comment section is kind of how, and also why we love Twist, is because it is public, and TechnoAder could easily be in Twist and say, hey, I had this similar issue. I did this I did X, Y, and Z, and now my issue is solved. So that way, you know, if we are slacking, or if we are taking, maybe an hour to 2 hours to respond, which sometimes happens, especially on the weekends, or 3 hours or more, only on the weekends, you guys can actually chime in and help each other out. But we also do have another article. I can kind of need to find it, but there is an article we wrote about the top earning website categories in 2020. So I do want you to consider the fact that this is from the year 2020, but I do think there is some evergreen content in this article, and also in the top performing category section. So that's a really good way to start as well. I kind of want to just add one more in there really quick because it's a similar topic. It's basically, if you're writing new content, it basically goes over some of the data of what length of content has the highest Epmv. I do believe the highest Epmv was, I think, from like 800 to 1200 words. Let me find this for you. Here we go. This is another good source for you all. Techno Aiden, or sorry, did I say that right? Yeah, Techno Aider clearly is a good source of information. Clearly, he's done videos. He probably has a blog. He's given you 15 categories for good top Epmv categories. But he says, claim, conference call, trading, software, recovery, transfer, glass, electricity, glass, all good ones. Those are all really, really good ones. Pet animals are great. We see tons of them. With that, I do want to also touch on your comment here. Boom Boom. He says, how's the RPM? So Zoic actually uses a different metric to analyze earnings, and it's actually called Epmv. And to summarize it, it basically goes off the user engagement metrics on your site. And essentially the underlying idea being, the higher the engagement, sorry, I just messed up my hair, look like a goof. The higher engagement on your page, the more users will be seeing and engaging with both the content and technically the ads. They'll be in the field of view more. So that is actually the metric we use. You might see us throw around Epmv a lot just to fill you in. Adrian says, I plan to move my hosting. What could be a good integration? What could be good for integration with the Zoic? Well, Azoik's free WordPress hosting is a pretty good option, of course. Because Adrian, I do believe you're approved for monetization, so you can actually use our free Zoic WordPress hosting. But there's also, I talked about this article earlier, the Certified Seamless. Here's another one, Adrian. It's called azoik.com/certified seamless with Azoik. Essentially, this shows all the ad partners and all the partners in general that work well with us. So SiteGround is actually on the list, which is why I was kind of curious. Someone earlier said Azoik's not the problem, SiteGround is. I think there probably could be something that we can configure on our end to kind of get around those issues, because SiteGround is fully compatible. But again, that's something I can look into if you guys want to jump into Twist. Oh, sorry, I missed your question there. Two says, suggestions to go from $200 to $1,000 a month with Zoic. Good vibes. Great vibes. So what you should do is, excuse me, there's a lot to be done here, but I think TechnoRator is right. Enhanced placeholders, basically just give the AI all the resources and everything to optimize, and high quality content, and SEO is going to be everything. So just to make sure that your content is dialed in, your Zoic setup is dialed in, improve SEO, which improves traffic, improve engagement. Techno's right. You want to write high quality content. and that basically will fuel your success. I think the levels dashboard kind of gamifies this progress for you, kind of gives you landmarks and things to work for. I know some publishers have complained about over gamifying, which I totally understand, but at the same time, it also gives you kind of the perfect avenue to see like where you can make improvements and kind of work up from there. But yeah, Techno8er is exactly right. I want to make sure that all you guys, because I'm going to wrap up this in the next couple minutes. I want to make sure that anyone in here that has not been into Twist before can get into Twist without any issues, so we can kind of continue these conversations throughout the rest of the day. Also, this was the best kind of engagement that we've got off one. So if you guys have any other ideas that you guys would like to cover in these live streams, then let me know. I'm only going to do what works best for you all. I'm not going to sit here and say this is what's best for you all. That's not how we operate at Azoik. That's not how I operate. So whatever works best for you all, please let me know, whether it's now or you can shoot me a message in Twist. I will do whatever it is you guys want. Honestly, I kind of have, I think Azoik has a lot of trust in their employees. I think it's something you also earn along the same time. But saying that, they trust me to do what's best for you all. And I know that I can trust your guys' opinion because, that's kind of what we work around. So again, a little bit of a broken record. Let me know what you guys want in terms of, onboarding, getting set up, support, what you want me to cover in support, what, if you want me to do more live streams, if you want me to change up the live streams. I know I've said that a lot, but Jay Lou asked me a question. He says, I added a Zoic. Oh, I forgot I can do this. Now you guys can see. I added a Zoic to my WordPress site, and now I cannot add any plugins. I continually land on an origin error page. Jay, so you have a WordPress site. I'm going to ask who your host is and maybe what other potential security plugins you might have on the back end. If you're continually landing on an origin error page, hopefully that's just within WordPress admin, it sounds like. But I'm curious who your host is. They might be blocking our IPs as well, or they might have security features enabled there. I think this might be something that might need some deeper troubleshooting, which might be best for Twist. But security plugins, special or enabled security features at your host, whitelisting Azoik IPs. Sometimes you just need to clear your cache and open up your WordPress admin in an incognito tab. And sometimes it's literally just bad cache that's, forcing you to see an origin error. Check your other plugins to make sure they're all up to date. There's no old updates. I'm trying to think of other potential issues there. I think that's just about all I covered. But Jay, again, please, if you want to get into Twist, I will love to help you work through this. Okay, good. He says, okay, I'll join. I'll reach out on Twist. Glad I was able to join the live. Me as well. And to touch up on this again, I'm not sure when you joined, but we will be doing these at least on Pacific Standard Time once a week for now, but we will be doing more going forward. But I'll see you in there in Twist, and I will definitely help you out. What is high quality content? It sounds very broad. So I agree that is very broad. But we kind of I also touched up on the two articles above of high quality niches, I'll say, and topics, but then also which length of content earns the best in terms of Epmv or earnings. So that's technically something you want to consider high quality. So high quality would be something about, the actual words and content you write. You want to make sure it's interesting and engaging. So that way your users are actually like, oh, like this is interesting. Like I love what Cheesecake is saying, who's also 99 years old. Basically, the content you write, adding the right amount of images, not too many, not too little. You don't want to spam and dilute your content with images. So good words, the proper length. You don't want it too short. You don't want it too long. But then, yeah, the actual words and information you write is, the end all be all. Because Cheesecake, if I were to go to one of your top landing pages, let's say for how to bake a cheesecake, and it's like, let's say your first words, figure it out. I'm going to be like, later, I'm going to leave the article. That's low quality. I know that was very terrible explanation and kind of a bad reference, but that's kind of the idea behind high quality content. Mariana says, is Thrive Architect compatible with Zoic ads? I'm not 100% sure what Thrive Architect is. Oh, it's a page builder. Yes. Yeah, that should be fine through WordPress. You know, there might be some configurations in terms of placeholders we'll have to do, but yeah, that should be fine. I'm not sure how it operates, but it should be okay. U Sports says, you are awesome, mate. I appreciate the effort trying to answer our questions with patience. I learned many things today. I hope to see you always. Thank you so much. Again, I love doing these too. I'm happy you guys are finding benefit in them, which means, of course, I will do more and more and more. But yeah, feel free to join me every week. I'll do them all the time. I love it too. Cheesecake says, any image resolution recommendation? Technoator, you are a genie. I didn't know the answer to that. Thank you for that. I was about to ask for some follow-up information. But guys, Technoator knows his stuff, so I appreciate that. I'm gonna highlight your comment so people can see. But yeah, I think I'm about to wrap it up. I know we still have some people in here, so I'm gonna say at 10:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll close it out. So I guess that's still 4 more minutes, which is some good time. But then again, guys, I just want to say I do really appreciate you guys all coming and engaging with me. I'm sure you guys are the same way. If sitting behind a keyboard and talking to Twist all day can be kind of like inhumane, I'll say, only because it's not like face-to-face interaction. It's very, virtual. But I do really appreciate you guys joining me today. I love talking to you guys. I love working with you guys. You guys, I like working with publishers in general. They're very, they're dedicated, they're eager. They're very, very hardworking. So I love doing that about you guys. It kind of makes me feel that I want to hold that same standard for you all. But again, I just want to say I appreciate you all coming and joining me today. Cheesecake says, I see big sites using images from the manufacturers. Should we do the same? I'm not exactly sure what you mean there, but formally, you should be posting your own images. I think images taken from companies and places that basically don't give you the access or permission to post them, that can technically be considered scrape content. But yeah, if it's just a resizing image issue, as Technoator says, then yeah, you can just resize those issues if you can use them. All right, well, 2 more minutes. I'll let the last couple comments, questions come in. Again, I can't say this enough. Thank you guys so much for coming. This is the longest one we've ever done. The first couple we ever did were about 20 to 30 minutes. We were running them through Zoom, and they were pretty low engagement. But now we've kind of come to this point where we're seeing much better engagement, and now we're almost at 2 hours. So I love that. U Sports says, how do I know you'll be live again? Are you using any notification system? So we aren't technically, but we are using Twist as a notification system. I think we're going to try to build out something that will give you a notification in the banner of your dashboard. So if you're in your dashboard, you'll get a notification. But maybe we can try to figure out a way to send out an email, like a no reply email, or maybe whatever you guys think's best. Like, do you guys think it's best to get a notification from us, regardless of the topic, through the dashboard or through the email or through Twist? Like, I'm not sure what works best for you guys, but if you say, hey, getting a notification this way is gonna work best for me and everyone else, then guess what? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the way you say it. So right now, our notifications will be through Twist. I think it's good to stay active in there because you do get updates and everything as well. But you sports, I will be here next Thursday and the next Thursday and the next Thursday, and then hopefully I'll be doing, next Tuesday and Thursday and next Tuesday and Thursday. But essentially, so far right now, it'll be every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be here. I like to call this little room my timeout box. It's a call center for our sales team. It's isolated, and there's a couple little different pods in here, so I like to call it my timeout box. This is where I normally do them. But Adrian, I agree. I think we broke the live stream record. I love it. Technoator, thank you for helping out Cheesecake with this with the image resize thing. But we can also touch up on this in the Twitch channels too if you guys want some more support after this. Okay, you would prefer an email as well? Okay. Others say Twist works great. Please send email. So the beauty of it is we can do both. And 2 says I stumbled upon this on YouTube and today and I just joined. So we're running it through this platform called StreamYard. So basically what I can do now is instead of just doing it through Facebook or just YouTube, I can actually just dual stream it through StreamYard, which then goes to both Facebook and YouTube. I think we can also do like Twitter and a couple other things and all these other ones, but essentially we're going to try to, just grow these because we do think that you guys are somewhat benefiting from it. Cheesecake says just shoot the notifications to all platforms. Okay, perfect. I'll do that as well. We'll do it to multiple platforms. We'll do it through email. We'll do it through everything. Technoator, you are exactly right. It is an AI-based network, and Zoic also is not just an ad network like Google kind of does, like Google Trends. We're actually just a publisher's tool to succeed. Of course, the ad network and the monetization is kind of the highlight and why many people come here and to use the actual AI. But I want you to know that Azoik is not just another ad network. It's actually a platform that you all can use to grow your site to infinity and beyond. So you guys can be, making $100,000 a year in 10 years, and you guys can be sitting on the beach in your dream location, or you can be sitting on your mountaintop high rise, in whatever area you want to be and working. We really want to get you guys all there. That's the goal of the platform, and the goal of Azoik. It's not just to monetize and use our AI, but it's actually, it's just a tool for you all to use in many different areas. Usports says, sadly, I'm not on Twist. I was moved to the community. So we can actually post those in the community as well. We can try to be more active in there for you as well. It's a good point, Usports. I want to make sure that you guys aren't just left in the dust after you're done with Twist. I do believe after Twist, you can actually open tickets maybe as well. I might get in trouble for saying that. But we can see maybe we can get people into Twist for longer periods of time, especially if you find that most beneficial. Cheesecake, I'm not sure but he says they have their big data, so maybe they can share some information from their database. I'm trying to follow up on your... I'm not exactly how Google Trends work. Oh, latest stories and insights. Oh, I got you. I know. Okay. That's a really good idea. I kind of like this. I think this is a good... Google Trends is a great thing to look at, but I think that is something we could potentially build out in Big Data Analytics. But I think Big Data Analytics also has a lot of reports that you can kind of use to facilitate with the Google Trends tool to kind of gear it towards yourself. Can we choose a location when we choose Zoic WordPress hosting? So a little confused on the question here, but essentially our Zoic WordPress hosting uses the same CDN and servers as when you name server integrate. So your site will actually live and be served through all the major AWS servers, so it won't be just in one location. So it'll actually be delivered to all users quickly in a matter of time using all AWS servers. Second language says, please, what is the Twist channel? I posted the link for you earlier, second language. Let me post it again. Basically, how you access Twist. But if you are comfortable with it, if you want to drop your domain name down in the comment section, second language, I can make sure that you actually have an invite to these channels. Oh, sorry, stretching a bit. Cheesecake, I think that's a really good idea. That's something, let me write that down really quick. I like to keep a notebook for these things. Okay, I think that's a great idea. I don't think, we have APIs with Google, so we can pull certain information from them, and we also do get a lot of our data from them. So I do think that's something that we could potentially work out in the future. That is a great future request. All right, everyone. Well, I keep saying a couple minutes. Another question. How much traffic Azoik hosting can handle? As much as you can get. No limits. You're not going to be limited to data. You're not going to be limited to our storage. You can post as much as you want. Your site can be as big as you want. You can be getting as much traffic as you want. But then again, I'll say if you do send a bunch of invalid traffic through basically that, you can kind of get hit with a report. But to answer your question, no limit. Exactly, unlimited. All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I keep saying it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much again for joining. I love this part. It's one of my favorite parts of my week. I kind of I want to build a relationship with you all one-on-one as much as I can. I want it to be personable. I don't want it to be like I'm sitting behind a computer not helping. We keep getting more questions. Cheesecake, what's the minimum page views to monetize for this year? Wait, what's the minimum page views to monetize for this year? There are no page view limits to monetize. There's none at all. We're willing to work with any size site as long as we have enough data to verify that the traffic is real and high quality. Then we're good. Someone also asked an important question. How can I fix origin error? I try my all. Aiden, can you please go into Twist and I can help you navigate this right now? If you look up Zoic origin errors in our knowledge base articles, you'll find the ways you can basically get around these origin errors through navigating with your host. And he says how to keep safe AdSense account from getting disabled. Keep producing original content, keep working on SEO, keep writing high quality content that's original again, and you're good. Nothing to worry about. You guys will see me again. It was great to see you as well, Cheesecake. Okay. Oh, I missed questions. Sorry. We did. But Pratik says, please wait for some time. We have some questions. Okay, I'll wait for you. I'll give you a couple more minutes. We can run this for, let's say, till like 11. Maybe longer, we'll see. But yes, Pratik, please go ahead and answer and ask all your questions. Someone said, missed question. Pranay, can you point me out? Sorry, I thought I was getting through all the questions. But your question in particular, how does Zoic help us to keep AdSense account from getting disabled? There's two ways I can answer this question. It used to be in the old Google system. If you were sending 100% of your traffic to a Zoic, AdSense might say, oh, your account is actually inactive. We're going to turn it off. But the way the new ad manager system works is that even if you're sending 100% of traffic through a Zoic, AdSense will see the impressions coming through and will not deactivate or turn off your AdSense account. In terms of getting your site disabled, that's going to be more on your end. But when you actually integrate through our cloud, which you all do for our program, you actually do get like the basic security you needed through Cloudflare and a couple other things. So you do get all of the CDN protection that you need in terms of traffic and bot wise. U Sports, well done. Subscribing to your fellow publishers. I love that. This isn't a way for me to advocate for myself and others, but I think it's also, it's a time for you guys to say, hey, let's help each other out and let's build relationships. I love that so much. You guys are the best. This has been one of my favorite live sessions so far. I've seen a lot of my repeating friends from the past, and a lot of you guys, hopefully, I think will join you next week as well. We do not have live chat, Pratik. We actually just use our Twist channels, and the longest you'll ever have to wait for a response during the work week, unless there's a holiday, is 3 hours. It's just usually responded to within sometime, usually within the hour, if we're not in meetings or anything like that. But yeah, you will get answers here in Twist very quickly. It's your best avenue for support, but we will not be doing live chat at this time for this program. I'm going to highlight this comment that Techno8er said. I don't even need to repeat it because it's a good one, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. To save your AdSense, don't visit your own ads and click on your own ads. Work on your SEO, get organic traffic will be best. Amen. You are right. That is exactly it. Tell me about Azoik tag tester and its new version. I didn't know we have a new version of this. Let me write that down so I'm not making sure I'm missing something. But essentially, for you all, a tag tester is basically it's a testing system for you to test different titles. I'm sorry to use the same words to define the actual thing, but essentially, if you're writing a new article and let's say you're writing about new cars of 2022, you can use the title tag tester to say, hey, let's try, and this is for SEO. Sorry to take a step back. This is for SEO, improving SEO metrics. Our title tag tester can basically say, oh, let's try the title best cars of 2022 or hottest cars of 2022 or 2022 best cars. Essentially, you can use many different titles and see which ones rank best. But yes, don't click on your own ads on your own site. That is something that can show up on our end. We can check, click-through rates, and we know what human traffic mimics and does not mimic. So we can do our investigation pretty well. We also have an entire quality review team that can kind of help us out with that all. But in terms of the new version, I will get an update for you on that. But Pratik, I don't want to shut this out before you get your last questions in. But let's try to wrap this up within the next couple of minutes, so I can kind of make my way into Twist and start helping you guys out in there. Zoak Premium. So in terms of Premium, you do get access to different avenues of support and also different ad networks. But the way Premium works for you guys now is it actually only comes in an invite only, so you can't actually do anything to. I'll post the there's a link for you at the bottom. That was not the right article, but that was not what I wanted to show. This is the one I wanted to show. But basically, if you want to increase your chances of getting onto Premium, because it's an invite only thing, continually improving your site, working up through levels, and staying on what's it called? And staying on Zoic for a longer period of time will help your chances of getting invited to inviting to Premium. God, you guys are asking such good questions. I'm not going to end this. What features are we usually overlooking on a Zoic? Well, I think 2 ways to answer this. Current features is the analytics. The analytics is really, really well built out. We have, our publisher success management team. They use analytics to an extreme depth for some of these major sites. So it is very well built out. So I would probably say the single-handedly most overlooked feature is the actual analytics and all the reports and filters it can run. And I think the other way I'd want to answer this moving forward is actually focusing on the video content. So I think if you are subscribing to Techno8er right now, is a perfect introduction into getting to video content, because video content is going to be absolutely huge for Zoic moving forward. What is the Zoic API? I'll go over that and twist. Use Mac ads per page. That can also help Zoic to learn more. Techno8er, just to qualify, so max ads per page. If you create rules that actually might limit the ads being served on your pages, maybe we should change the name of that. Now thinking about it, max ads per page sounds like let's max out the ads per page. But actually, what max ads per page is, it is actually a feature you can use to build out a tool. Sorry, I was kind of thinking and speaking. I need to think then speak. Max ads per page is basically a tool that you can use to basically limit how many ads you can show in total per page. So max ads per page, you might say, let's only show 4 ads for every 1,000 words. So it might actually limit the amount of ads you show. So in terms of helping Azoik learn more, you should just be doing more and more placeholders. Pranay says, can I get a twist invitation? Yes. If you want to quickly throw down your domain name or email with Azoik, I can just go find your account and admin, and then I can send you out a new invite to Twist right now. But the only way I can send out a Twist invite is through admin. So I'm actually going to need either your domain or email with Azoik. Is blogging have feature? I'm a little confused on that question. I would say that the Azoik platform is a blogging. Oh, is blogging have future? Sorry, not feature. Is blogging have future? A little confused in your question, but I would say yes, blogging will be a huge focus in the future going forward. I'm learning to make video. Awesome. To you, that's great. I hope you subscribe to Techno8er's page as well. It seems like he covers a lot of really good stuff. I know he said he covers tech stuff, but also Zoic stuff. So that's another great avenue for you to learn some stuff. But I also appreciate you, Techno8er, helping in answering some questions in here right now. I do really appreciate that as well. I'm sure they do as well. All right, everyone. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. Because there might be some others in Twist that might need my help. Tucker's currently in there helping you guys out in Twist, but I want to make sure that, if there's people waiting in there, that I do show them the same attention and love. Content sites will always have a future. Absolutely. You're right about that, Cheesecake. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. This has been by far my favorite, hopefully the most effective and productive for you all. Constantine asks a great question at the last second. He says, hello, why is my Epmv so low? What I can do is, Constantine, can you please head into Twist and ask this question right now? There's kind of a lot we need to cover in that question, but for now, I'm going to give you this really good article that goes over all of this, because there's a lot we need to look into. There's a ton we need to look into there. But I agree. Constantine, I will also be running a live stream next Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just gave you a really good article down there at the bottom. I don't want to sell you short and cut you off, but technically these are supposed to run an hour, and we're currently at 2 hours and 5 minutes. And can a level 2 publisher join Twist community? They cannot. Twist is only for Access Now level 1 publishers right now, but maybe it's something we can work on in the future if others seem to like it. I think it's great. But again, everyone, thank you so much. You guys are the best. Hopefully I'll see you all in Twist right after this. If If you guys are in here and you didn't want to put your domain in the comment section, but you want an invite to Twist, send me an email asking for an invite to Twist. I'm going to post my email down in the bottom here. You can email me for the invitation to Twist. If you ask me extensive support questions, I'll probably just direct you to Twist, is where we do that all, so it won't be an avenue for that. There's my email down at the bottom, cstever@azoik.com. Send me an email, say I need an invitation to Twist, and I'll get you in there. But again, everyone, thank you so much. You guys are the best. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, your evening. Have a great Friday, and have a really safe, hopefully outdoors and eventful weekend. Thank you all.